Eugenia Cheng, The Art of Logic in an Illogical World. Enter the captivating world of logic and learn how it can guide you towards a path of clarity, understanding, and truth. The Art of Logic in an Illogical World by Eugenia Cheng takes us on an enlightening journey, exploring logic as an essential tool to dissect complex arguments. This summary will help unravel the intricate workings of logic, its application in real-world situations, and the importance of recognizing its limitations. Delve into the irresistible realm of logic and learn how to strike a balance between emotions and reasoning.
Understanding the power of logic. Logic is more than just a concept we learn as children. It's a tool that can help us explore complex issues in meaningful ways. To unlock its potential, we need to understand how it works. Logic is a process of investigating complex arguments by asking questions and using them as stepping stones towards clarity. It's similar to theater in that it takes us out of the real world and into an abstract, imaginary one. This allows us to examine the heart of an argument without getting sidetracked by irrelevant details. However, we need to be aware that logic only works in one direction. Just because A implies B doesn't mean that B necessarily implies A. By understanding logic, we can better analyze and participate in meaningful discussions. Logic and emotions. Learn how applying logic to arguments can help arrive at the truth by negating extremes and overcoming assumptions. Discover how emotions can impair our ability to reason and why logic is an invaluable tool in conflict resolution. Have you ever found yourself in a heated argument, driven by your emotions, and unable to see the other side of the story? If so, you are not alone. Humans often let their emotions take over, leading to irrational behavior and an inability to consider other points of view. However, applying logic to our arguments can help us arrive at a place of truth. Negating is a technique that can be used to create a space between two opposing views. Instead of jumping in and defending our position, we can explore the possibility of a gray area, where there is no clear-cut answer. Through this exploration, we can gain insight into the issue and consider a broader range of possibilities. Assumptions are another major hurdle we face when experiencing conflict. Instead of jumping to conclusions, we need to ask why repeatedly until we exhaust all ambiguity. This is logic's way of providing us with invaluable stepping stones that can lead us to the root of any conflict. Emotions can impair our ability to reason, and that's where logic becomes an invaluable tool in conflict resolution. By putting our emotions aside, we can use logic to guide us along the chain of reasoning until we arrive at the truth. It's time to replace emotionally driven behavior with a logical method of argument. By doing so, we can gain greater insight into the issues we face. Whether it's a heated debate or a simple disagreement, logic can provide a path towards a more positive outcome. The power and limits of logic. The book emphasizes using logic carefully and understanding its limits, specifically in real-life situations where emotions may sway us. While logic is an effective tool for testing theories and arguments in academia, it may not always be practical outside of it. Emotions can often cloud our judgment, leading to illogical decisions. To combat this, the book proposes using reasonable skepticism, which involves playing devil's advocate with yourself to assess the strength of your own arguments. By doing so, you can ground your views in truth and effectively evaluate the validity of your own assertions. Through this, the reader is encouraged to navigate the complexities of logical thinking with a more nuanced understanding of its power and limitations. The limits of logic. There are moments in life where logic alone isn't the best option. Combining logic with other considerations such as chance, time, and goodwill can lead to better decision-making. In making decisions, we often rely on logic. We ask questions and explore possibilities until we find a definitive answer. However, logic alone rarely leads to a conclusive decision. That's because it can be impractical or unnecessary to fully consider every option available. Sometimes it's better to combine logic with another consideration, like chance or trying something new. The key message here is that there are instances where logic is not enough. Timing plays a crucial role in making decisions. When there's an emergency, we must follow our instincts to act right away. In some cases, goodwill is also essential to decision-making. Climate change agreements, for example, require all parties to focus on the greater good. Combining logic with humanity means putting aside self-serving agendas, even if they seem like the logical choice. Trusting in this approach can lead to positive outcomes. To summarize, logic is based on truth, but it shouldn't be the only consideration when making decisions. Time, chance, and goodwill can all play a role in decision-making, and combining logic with these considerations can lead to better outcomes. Choosing beliefs for logic. The book emphasizes that logic has no starting point for truth, and in order for it to be useful, one must clarify their personal beliefs. The beliefs, referred to as axioms, are the starting point one chooses to understand their positions in arguments. These axioms need to be true, basic, and identified to enable individuals to explore the depths of ambiguity and justify their point of view. The article suggests reflecting on what one believes to be true and challenges them to justify their views. By establishing clear axioms, individuals can explore other, why questions, that interest them while keeping their North Star, a set of rules they rely on, in sight. Navigating ambiguity with logic. Our beliefs are rooted in our axioms, making truth ambiguous. However, by questioning our language and using logical reasoning, we can navigate the gray area and have productive discussions with those who disagree with us. This approach allows us to find common ground and create stepping stones out of extremes. Life is rarely black and white. There is always a range of gray between the extremes, and humans aren't naturally comfortable with ambiguity. The same applies to logic, it isn't great at handling gray areas either. However, if we approach things differently, logic can guide us through the murky terrain. The ultimate message is that logical reasoning can help us navigate through ambiguity to find truth and commonality. The concept of truth is often thought of in terms of right and wrong, but in reality, it's more complex than that. We all develop our axioms, the basis for our truth, and this leads to ambiguity. To engage with others in a productive dialogue about our differences of opinion, we need to venture into the gray area. Our choice of language is crucial when doing so. Words like always, never, and everything leave no room for opposing views and push opposing sides further apart. Instead, we should ask why to understand an opponent's position. By continuing to question them, we'll eventually reach their axiom, which will shed light on their position and help us evaluate it. Let's consider an example. Riley believes that everyone is entitled to social services, while Evelyn thinks that adults should take care of themselves. They set aside their emotions to explore where these beliefs come from and discover a crossover of beliefs. Riley doesn't think money should be handed out without question, and Evelyn acknowledges that some members of society are entitled to government support, such as injured military personnel. By questioning their positions, they can investigate their beliefs about who deserves social services. In conclusion, by questioning our language and using logical reasoning, we can navigate the gray area and have productive discussions with those who disagree with us, finding common ground and creating stepping stones out of extremes. It may be challenging to let go of established positions, but it leads to constructive and insightful discussions. Clear argumentation. Establishing a solid and logical argument requires clear articulation of the three key components while avoiding generalizations and oversimplification. Remember those elementary school days when every lowercase b had its distinct variation? Despite the differences, they were still recognized as b's. However, what if a classmate wrote a backward b? Would it still be considered a b, or would it be something else entirely? This basic concept illustrates the importance of being precise when making an argument. Arguing logically requires the articulation of your stance with clarity and avoiding ambiguity. However, this process takes time, effort, and space, which are often incompatible with society's fast-paced nature, making it difficult to condense complex arguments into slogans and tweets. One danger of oversimplification is that it creates a straw man argument, a position that is easily refuted. For instance, when the Black Lives Matter campaign began to spread, some people countered it by throwing the phrase, "all lives matter," around. This dismissal minimized the complexity of the issue, making it impossible for supporters of Black Lives Matter to prove their point. A clear opposition to a complex argument requires dissection into its three key components: that Black lives have equal value to other lives, that they are not currently being valued equally, and that this injustice needs to be remedied. By disagreeing with just one of these components, opponents reveal their stance to either be ignorant, racist, or show a disregard for social justice. Proper argumentation requires a calm and structured approach, making social media platforms like Twitter unsuitable for stable discussions. It is impossible to communicate an argument clearly within 280 characters. In conclusion, the key to establishing a solid and logical argument is articulating your stance with clarity, avoiding oversimplification, and breaking your argument down into its essential parts. The power of combining emotion and logic. Emotions and logic are not mutually exclusive, and by combining them, we can persuade others to change their point of view. Our emotions shape our beliefs and behavior, which makes them a potent tool to reinforce logic and expand our thinking. One way to use this combination is by creating analogies that bridge the gap between what you feel strongly about and what others care about. By engaging people's empathy, we can change their perspective and help them see the world through a new set of eyes.
In conclusion, Eugenia Cheng's The Art of Logic in an Illogical World provides an insightful look into the significance of logic in understanding complex arguments and discovering the truth. Learning how to apply logic systematically, recognize its limitations, and merge it with emotions for a persuasive argument are key takeaways from the book. As you embrace the world of logic and implement it in your thought processes and discussions, remember that logic and emotions can coexist harmoniously, and together, they create powerful opportunities for personal growth, enlightenment, and better decision-making.